due. We finished the land use hearings. We are now moving to the 5:30 open to the public. And if some of the people are leaving, I'll leave room for other people that may wish to come in. We thank you all for being here. A couple additional housekeeping notes. You all have been very patient and so I'd like to make a couple quick announcements. That is, Commissioner Davis had to leave for a previous engagement, but she wanted me to tell you that she promised to watch the tape tomorrow to hear what everybody had to say. Also, myself and the fellow commissioners have been up here for quite a while, so we might be getting up and taking a break from time to time, but we have had a speaker installed in the bathroom, so we can hear everything that you're saying. So just because we're not here doesn't mean we're not paying attention to what you say. Okay, so with that said, this is open to the public about anything you wish to speak on. Again, please don't hold the signs up. That is obstructive to the people behind you. And again, we want to hear what everybody has to say, and we want everybody to have the ability to hear what everybody's saying and see what they're saying without obstruction. So again, one more time, 3 minutes. I'll stop you at 3 minutes. If you have a letter on file for organization, you have 5. So, yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Bertha Lawrence. I live at 4134 East Jesse Lane in Inverness, Florida. And I wanted to talk to you about the expansion plans for the Florida Turnpike into the Nature Coast. Extending the Turnpike into the Nature Coast, I feel, is a bad idea. Those of us who live here do so because we don't want to deal with the urban sprawl like we see in Newport Richey and other places. When I moved to Florida 17 years ago, I specifically told my realtor that I didn't want to live in what was phrased as stereotypical Florida. I wanted an area where I could be close to nature and there were many outdoor recreational opportunities, and I found this in Citrus County. The National Motorists Association describes turnpikes as a bad idea, an inefficient and backwards approach to providing public highways. They further say that toll road projects foster corruption, political patronage, and discourage needed improvements on the rest of the highway system. According to the Nature Conservancy, the MCOR's proposal to create both the Suncoast Connector and the Northern Turnpike Corridor will have large-scale impacts on a region that is rich in springs, conservation lands, and agriculture. My biggest concern is for the impact that a turnpike extension would put on our natural resources. In our area, protecting the springs, wildlife, and natural areas is important. Every plan that I have seen for the turnpike extension at the very least skirts those areas. This could put our springs in more danger of pollution, reduce the living area of the Florida panther, and put further strain on our manatee population who are already struggling due to the loss of seagrass due to pollution. The disruption of our water filtering system by building the turnpike extension through our area could significantly impact the water quality in our springs, lakes, rivers, and bays. The citizens of Citrus County were recently subjected to a tax based on the amount of roof and concrete at their homes because of runoff, water quality, and flood concerns. How much more runoff, flooding, and water quality concerns would the county have if the turnpike comes through? In closing, I'm asking that the commissioners and the citizens of the county stand up and say no to the MCOR's proposal for the Northern Turnpike Corridor. We've already taken one for the team with the Suncoast Connector. We don't need to sit back and take another.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you once, no applause, no booing, no cheering, okay? Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Commissioners. Karen Este, City of Inverness. Commissioners, coming from Southgate, I have firsthand experience, and I only speak to that when I come to this board. From living in Redland, when the Turnpike Authority came and said they wanted to build the extension down to Homestead, we were told that once it's built, you could just zip to downtown, and also it'd be a really great evacuation point. But what happened during the process, as they were building it, is the properties to the south, to the east and to the west were being gobbled up by developers. And that's the same thing that's happening here in Citrus County already with the Suncoast Parkway coming in. So what do you think it's going to do with the turnpike coming in? Now that the whole premise of an evacuation route is nil. It doesn't exist, and it's not going to exist if this turnpike comes through. But I think there's far-reaching, well, in addition to that, we've already gone through the coastal connector. That failed. We went through the MCORs. That failed. I mean, it was really mind-numbing to do that, okay? You guys know all about that. So, and really nothing has changed, but all of a sudden there's a big push for this. And it's not really predicated on the Suncoast Parkway. There's other issues, and it's going up north along US 19. And that's because if you go a little bit further north, if you go into Lebanon, and if you go into, let's say, Leon County, Wakulla County, there are several large parcels, thousands of acres that owned by very few people who are salivating at the fact to develop. Not only will it destroy our land here, our water resources, our ecosystems, but they're getting ready to take all of this north, and that's what basically it's all about. So until we really find out what's going on, we really need to study the truth about this. And in addition to that, I have to ask, why are we clear-cutting lands for all of this? And I have to sit and ask you commissioners, our ecosystem requires everything that we do. A safe place to live without harassment, food and water. Do we really give any
Credence?
Thank you, consideration to their needs? Thank you, folks. But it's important to realize that. I've never heard anybody say, well, you know, when a developer comes up here, you know, we really need to think about the birds and the bees and the understory and everything it supports. We just clear cut the land and that's the end of it. We pop up concrete and asphalt. We need to start thinking of everything in reverse and our values and what it holds for us to live on. Sorry,
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
one quick quote.
No.
No?
Time is up. Thank you. If I let you do it, I have to let the whole room do it, so can't
I'll
do
be
it.
back.
Thank you. We know that, and we're looking forward to it. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Commissioners. Theresa Waldron. I live at P.O. Box 438, Lecanto. And
Please hold down the signs, please. If you're on back against the wall, that's okay. Excuse me.
That's
Don't
correct.
hold this down. Okay, good.
My concern is we gave way to the Parkway. We fought since 20 years. I was fighting for the Parkway, against it. It's coming. The destruction it's done, the pathways for the wildlife that it has destroyed, the tortoises that have been entombed physically with silviculture and destruction is going to continue with the crosstown extension. It has not been stated as a needed road. It is a chosen road. I-75 can still be widened. It can be double-deckered. There are other choices. We don't have to lay down and let them destroy what you have fought for. You have fought for this county. You are leaders that have a decision to make, and you can stand up and say no. What is the point? No, where is the end point of destruction? We all love living here. I know you do, or you wouldn't be here. And that's why we're all here. But there has to be some point of deviation where we say it stops. The Parkway is coming, we will get it to 19, and we will have to adapt. I myself am not moving, but it's going to be in my backyard. But I love my property, and I have chosen I will adapt because I don't want to move anywhere else. But as leaders, please find a line of deviation because this will just continue. And our lives will never be the same. And the glory days are behind us. And preservation has to start now because we know it's already 50% gone. This county is nothing what it was 20 years ago. And it's up to you to maintain the quality of life that everyone has moved here for. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, come on. Next speaker, please.
I'm Dr. Paul Reinhardt, MD, candidate for the State House District 34, and the first gotcha candidate that this county ever had. Okay, this paperwork, this handful of paperwork, my dad and mom kept until they died. It contains documents pertaining to housing lots Dad purchased in Shirley, Suffolk County, Long Island, after he served in World War II. Dad was getting ready to build his house under the GI Bill so that my brother George and myself could be raised in a nice suburban area. The documents include his paid tax bills, as well as the state's letter wanting to grab our land by eminent domain to build the Sunrise Highway extension. Also included are a round of letters from an eminent domain attorney. My dad was only given $150 for those 2 lots in 1963. As a result, my family never recovered economically, and my brother and myself were raised in a New York City housing project, public housing project. That situation brought me where I am today, a poor missionary doctor and a college professor that you are fortunate enough to encounter, that has experience in every branch of government, federal and state, and lucky you. The FDOT is doing a master plan study of I-75 from Wildwood to I-10 with public comment scheduled this spring or early summer. This will be a $13.8 million study for a section of I-75 through Alachua, Marion, and Sumter counties. It will cover from Wildwood to Maconochie, a 47-mile stretch. Some are saying I-75 will be expanded to 8 lanes, while others are pushing for a raised double highway at points to accommodate cars on the raised portion and heavy trucks below. Mr. Prasad, who represents a road building trade association that's members stand to profit from the stances that most of this commission is saying that the Northern Turnpike extension is needed because I-75 is so congested. But implicit in that statement is that no improvement is possible to relieve this congestion. So why is there such a strong push by pro-build forces without the benefit of the findings of the Master Project Development and Environmental Study of I-75 that is scheduled shortly? If the I-75 improvements suggested come to fruition, traffic from Wildwood will flow smoothly and there will be no need for a toll road. No one will pay tolls when they can travel north on I-75 with no traffic jams. In the words of one commissioner after I spoke last time, don't bring this crap here.
And once again, folks, I'm trying to be polite. I asked you not to hold the signs up where it obstructs other people's views, okay? All right.
Good evening,
Oh,
Sabrina.
oh, wait, pardon me, hold the time. No, you can do whatever you want. Again, folks, let's be nice. We'll stay here all night to hear what everybody has to say, only if you're nice, okay? We don't operate where we behave badly. So we've had a great day. Let's just stay with it, okay? Ready, Commissioner? Yes, ma'am. Sorry
I
for the
should have a
interruption.
letter on file for my 5 minutes, please.
I believe that is correct. Is that
Thank
correct?
you very
Yes,
much.
Yes, thank you.
Sabrina Watson, Citrus County. I'm here speaking on behalf tonight of Citrus County Airboat Association. And I really want to tell you a little bit more about that waterway that they're talking about, running that toll road through. The Lake Hernando boat ramp is the entrance to hundreds of miles of waterway. We can run our airboats from that ramp all the way south of Floral City in one fell swoop. It costs me about $60 in gas, but I can do it. But I really want to tell you about a culture and a community and an ecosystem that's out there and back there. We're about a 175-member club, and we're not the only club out there. There are other clubs out there as well. We have a lease with Swift Mud on an island where we have potable water and toilets and barbecues. There are families that are out there all weekend, every weekend. There are kids that learn to swim and fish and boat and airboat and run in hammocks and play ball on the island. Now this club, I want to tell you a little bit more about this club. They actually clean those waterways themselves every single year. They perform other community services such as sponsoring dragon boats for the Citrus County Education Foundation. They do veterans events. They make sure that veterans can go for airboat rides and experience all that waterway. They also do toy runs and participate in Christmas organizations as well. That organization also puts out a weekly or monthly newsletter, and in that newsletter, we have club information, but we also have information for other people about those events, as well as education. We try to educate the community on using their flags out there so they don't get run over when I come around a corner at whatever speed. We try to educate them on curfews. We attempt to keep the airboats off the water late, like they're not supposed to be. There's lots of other things besides airboats out there. There's canoes, kayaks, stand-up paddleboards, OCs. There are other paddle clubs and other boats. I want to point out that if this toll road were to come through those areas, there's the potential to destroy a lot more than just what you see on the surface. There's the potential to destroy those entire cultures and communities and ecosystems of hundreds of people that are out there. Will those organizations like this one disappear? If that should happen, I don't know. Then who will clean the waterways? Who will teach the kids to swim? Who will teach the kids to boat? I don't know. Additionally, we haven't yet seen any of the reports that would on environmental impact. I can't imagine that the rain, the dirt, and the runoff off these toll roads would not devastate those areas. We haven't seen reports on increased crime yet. We haven't seen reports on increased drugs, and we haven't seen reports on increased human trafficking from those toll roads. So clearly, we don't want those toll roads in our community, and if for any reason they should come, we damn sure don't want them coming through our water. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Can we have the next speaker, please?
Good evening. I'm Dan Hilyard. I live up in Lecanto. I provided you folks with documents, 2 pages, and before I go further, I will tell you I'm flagrantly opposed to the Turnpike extension. One of the reasons would be the chaos that the Suncoast Parkway extension is creating. There's a family, extended family in residence north of Highway 44 who's been in this county for over 100 years, and they're watching their homestead face destruction because of that parkway. This is what goes on with every time we build a road. The documents that I gave you, the one on the back is from Southwest Florida Water Management District to the Executive Director, Turnpike Enterprise. It says in very clear language that they will not support what the enterprise is proposing because all of their 4 corridor options go through preserve lands. It's not going to work. Not even the state likes it. I have also read some comments in the Chronicle suggesting that some of you folks favor this on the basis of economic development. Well, transportation is part and parcel of that. One of the things that the other document is a copy of an editorial. It was in the Chronicle last weekend. If you didn't see it, you'll get a chance to now. And I want to bring to your attention that at the present time, there's 5 transportation corridors through or adjacent to Citrus County on a north-south axis. We've got US 19, the Suncoast Parkway, which is under development. County Road 491, US 41, a few miles east of 75. 5 corridors for transportation. In Brevard County, the other side of the state, they've got 3. They've got A1A, slow road to nowhere. You've got US 1, a little bit faster road that goes up the coast. And out on the west part of the county, they got I-95. They hit a home run in 1974 when they had a vision for economic development. They went to New York and hijacked the Harris Corporation and brought them home. That's the first time that anybody could ever get a decent wage in that county. Last time I checked, there was 40, give or take, Fortune 500 companies operating in Brevard County. 40. They're doing well over there with one major road. The roads that we have can be improved and widened. I know there's been talk about widening 41. You can do this, and it has to do with your vision of the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. Sir, what don't you understand about no applause? Okay, I've asked 3 times now not to do that, okay? Yes, ma'am.
Sally Mcdavid, Florida Forest Service. I should have 5 minutes. I'm representing the organization.
Yes, ma'am, you do. You're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Sally Mcdavid. I'm president of the Florida Forever Backcountry Horsemen. We maintain over 100 miles of trails in the Withlacoochee Forest. We hold an annual trash pickup day on the forest roads also. Yes, growth has been coming for years, as evidenced by our population. But this turnpike will dramatically accelerate growth and turn Citrus County and the Nature Coast into an Orlando. Is that what y'all want? Because that's what's coming. All the proposed routes cut through so many of Florida's treasures. So many of these places are not only watersheds, but well-loved recreation areas to campers, bikers, hikers, birders, and equestrians. Goethe State Forest, Cross Florida Greenways, Pruitt, Ross Prairie, the Halpata Basin, the Withlacoochee River Basin, the Rainbow River Basin. I could go on, but I don't have time. Water and water sources will be severely and detrimentally impacted. Recharge areas will be diminished and destroyed. And forget about water in your lawn. The big question is going to be, where's your drinking water going to come from? The 98-02 drought was the worst in history. Water basins and streams began to dry. Aquifers were diminished. Wildfires destroyed about 1.5 million acres. More and more sinkholes appeared. Water restrictions went into place and wells dried up. Tropical storms and hurricanes thankfully saved us in late 02 and 03. There was another lasting 28 months ending in 2008, and there'll be another. Y'all wanted FDOT to choose the best route, and then you'd get involved. Well, let's take a minute and talk about FDOT. US 19 through Homosassa. Yes, DAB defaulted, but FDOT was supposed to supervise and inspect. Y'all do remember that stormwater from the drainage system is polluting and degrading Halls River, do you not? Little Wekiva River, yet another outstanding Florida waterway, ruined by FDOT's I-4 Ultimate Construction Project. Seminole County is now spending $1.7 million to dredge it. Suncoast Parkway's one dismal failure to meet toll projections by $130 million a year. Yet FDOT went ahead and approved Suncoast 2, using the same people for their projections that's already over-projected by $130 million a year. The same group got it wrong on the Veterans Expressway, the Seminole Parkway, the Polk Parkway, and Garson Point Bridge, and I'm sure there are more. Makes you wonder why this group does the projections for the turnpike and for the DOT. Obviously, they have to have enough money to build the road, but they have to back off because none of them are correct. Good thing DOT isn't a business, because without we, the people, and the taxpayers' money, they wouldn't be around. They'd be compelled to close. Bowes Bridge to Nowhere, Garson's Point Bridge out in the Panhandle. Anybody heard of that? If you haven't, you need to read. You need to find out about it. It is a primer about greed, misused and corrupt political power, and roads to nowhere. Marcus Nelson, one cannot simply expand highways indefinitely to reduce traffic. The principle of induced demand demonstrates that more highways and more drivers will result in more traffic. Houston, Texas is the home to one of the world's widest freeways with 26 lanes, and yet every day it is often just as congested as any smaller highway, if not more congested by sheer volume. Please listen to this. In 1999, FDOT said the extension of the turnpike was suspended due to lack of support from local governments and the inability to pay for itself. FDOT Raymond Nash said even with higher traffic volume, the lack of local support would have killed the project. Levy County, Dunellen have voted no build. Marion County did not, 3-2. Maybe that's going to change. I can't say how disappointed I am, and I'm sure some of the citizens in Citrus County, that you said no build was not an option at the summit. You did that without any citizen input. And this is a life-changing issue on so many issues. That was just wrong. please schedule another public meeting specifically for citizens' input regarding this road and adequate space and time. Listen to the people because that's your job. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm serious, I really am. We want to hear what you have to say, but all your disruptions is just doing that, disrupting. So I don't think the commissioners are going to pay as much attention to listening to you misbehave as what the speakers are saying. So let's listen to what the speakers have to say.
Mr. Chairman, can I
Yes.
say something, please?
Sure.
I appreciate what you're saying to them. I'm the one that asked for this evening meeting, so I implore you to please listen to the chair. Otherwise, I might not get this chance again.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Yes, please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Barbara Ocasio. This is Mariana Ocasio, my beautiful daughter. And we moved 2 years ago back home to Citrus County from Orlando that started looking like California freeway. We did not move here to have it follow us. I live, right now we're safe. You guys aren't even knowing where my road is. 10258 North Gardner Way. And another reason why I became, they abused her in her special needs class. My mother lives in 7181, am I right? North Fountainhead Drive. And you guys are putting your road right in their front yard, and that is her dream house. She came all the way from Germany for her dream house. I wrote down, that's not what I wanted to say. I wrote down, it's not going to take 3 minutes, I promise, so I don't mess up. My name is Barbara Ocasio. I live in my dream home along with my daughter, her safe place, in Citrus Springs, Citrus County. It is a private community. I live there with my husband and my beautiful nonverbal autistic 12-year-old daughter. So far, I am not in the path of any of your thoughts or plans. I understand now that there is an extension of I-95 and other road projects that have been planned for 40 years. They've been in plan for 40 years. My question is, why did you allow people coming all over the world to buy in those 40 years knowing you're going to tear down their home? I don't understand that. Businesses, wildlife, those critters can't come here and say, save me. Don't take my home either. I get emotional. It's my German mother's fault. 8 years ago, Scott Karanen, sorry I butchered his name, was elected into office November 14th, 24. His famous quote in this profile page to this day, he said, "This is a beautiful place. I am proud to call Citrus County my home. Our community has so much to offer visitors and residents alike." Does he still believe that? Because we don't need this. When they say no road, they're not saying stop, go away. They're saying fix what's here. Expand where needed, where it doesn't hurt nobody. These are families, they're real people, real businesses. I'm right now safe with my daughter. My mother is not. I don't know how many people here are going to lose their homes, and many don't know. They don't know you guys are even thinking about this. I found out 2 weeks ago. Please, thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you being here and sharing. Can we have the next speaker, please?
I'm here speaking on behalf for Everglades Gallery.
Do we have a letter from them? Thank you. You're recognized for 5 minutes.
I'm speaking on behalf for Everglades Gallery. My name is John Bob Carlos. I've lived among Big Cypress and Everglades National Park most of my life. My life work is to save most of it. I've saved 80 miles of Everglades, but I've also seen the other side of it. I've seen the destruction. I've had the opportunity to photograph all of Florida. My work has been renowned throughout the world. It's been used by Nat Geo, it's been used by a lot of large companies, and I've shown the beauty of Florida. The most interesting thing is that in the last month or 2 months, you have a new resident. Driving through Inverness, I saw one of the most beautiful places I've ever imagined. I saw a golden sawgrass that reminded me of the Everglades. Trees, oaks that were larger than Fish-Eating Creek. And I bought a large parcel of land. I'm now a landowner here. I'm doing a preserve. I own almost close to 100 acres here. And you know what's the interesting thing is? That flag that's behind you, the ones I'm here to speak for, I've seen more deer in your county in one day than I did in a lifetime in Big Cypress or the Everglades. I've seen more wildlife, like panthers. I've seen bobcats. I've seen gators. I've seen sandhill cranes, and I'm here to speak for them and give them a voice. But what's the most important thing is I can live driving. So I still have my camps out in Big Cypress, and I still have that there. But one of my elders told me something that's really important. I can live by driving an extra 21 minutes, but I can't live without water. I can't live without trees, and I can't live knowing that I didn't come today and speak for not only those animals that are right behind you, that flag that's there for each of them, but also your future generations. Because the first flag that's there, and one thing I notice about Inverness is that you guys are really proud for your veterans. They fought for future generations. The second flag that's behind you that you guys represent is the blood and the time, and it's Florida, the land of flowers that we're paving over each day. But the one thing I like to point at, those people's grit got us here today, and they thought about future generations. That's why we're sitting here today in AC in such beautiful places. And the third flag that sits behind you, we need to honor them also. The animals that feed us, the ones that don't have voices, and this beautiful, beautiful county that you have, Inverness. To leave the Everglades to find something that I saw was so beautiful, go through my photos. I guarantee you, I have so many photos from here. Dreaming oak trees, beautiful waterways. This is paradise. Don't pave over paradise. Once it's gone, it doesn't come back. I've seen it from where I came from. And as my elder says, we need to plan for future generations, not just our pocket. I could live driving the extra mile, but I can't live with what you have here, and it's paradise. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your comments. Welcome to the community, too. So, yes, ma'am.
Hello, pardon me. My name is Danielle Coats. I'm a Inverness, Florida resident, and thank you so much for having this hearing and listening to our comments and having it at night so that we can all be part of it. I really appreciate it, I do. So I'm just a normal person. I'm not an environmentalist. I'm not running for anything. I just live here in Citrus County. I've lived here my whole life. I went off for college, grad school. I came back because it's beautiful here. My family too, but I came back because it's beautiful. It's ecologically unique, our 3 spring-fed rivers, all the preserves, the trails, the forest. I truly love it here. Obviously, we all love it here. We would not live here. You love it here. You would not be living here either. So I just wanted to say that please, please speak with us and protect this ecologically sensitive environment. I mean, once it's gone, and you can't bring it back. And we've seen that all over Florida, just the face of Florida changing. And yes, change is inevitable, but please, sustainable change. So not in my backyard, not in your backyard, not in their backyard. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Could we have the next speaker, please?
Hello, thank you, commissioners, for listening to us and for having this meeting. Ecotourism. The definition of ecotourism is responsible travel to natural areas that conserves the environment, sustains the well-being of the local people, and involves interpretation and education. Ecotourism is the future of Citrus County. We've started it, we're partway there, but it is still the future. I've heard the argument that the Turnpike extension would bring economic development to this county, but destroying entire neighborhoods and even towns for a Turnpike exit with a Dunkin' Donuts, a McDonald's, and a couple of gas stations is not the type of economic development Citrus County needs. And we have a golden opportunity here. Instead, we should be providing financial incentives for people to start small businesses that support ecotourism. I forgot to mention, I live in Hernando, Florida, right underneath the yellow route. And in case you haven't looked at the yellow route, it wipes out the entire town. Piggybacking on what the airboat folks said, they're already a start to this ecotourism. Let's use Hernando as an example. Instead of paving it over and making an exit with gas stations and Dunkin' Donuts, provide some economic incentives to someone who would like to start a bike rental business right there in the strip mall, right on the bike route. Someone who would like to rent kayaks down at the boat ramp. A fishing guide who does bass fishing excursions out on Lake Hernando? How about incentives for developers who purchase the distressed properties to redevelop them as fish camps or vacation cottages? If you've never heard of glamping, look that up. Ecotourism is ripe for development in this county, but it won't happen with polluted waterways, destroyed natural habitat, and unnecessarily displacing residents. There are multiple routes now to get from Wildwood to Highway 19. We don't need another. Tell FDOT to help us to improve and upgrade what we already have. This isn't needed here. Tell FDOT no build.
Thank you. We have the next speaker, please.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Leslie Shaw, and I live on Lake Hernando. My address is 3988 East Lake Park Drive. My husband and I retired here in Hernando after having left Jacksonville. I am a native of the state of Florida. My family is a pioneer family in the state of Florida. I have seen Jacksonville go from 150,000 people to over 1 million people. It is not a pretty sight. Jacksonville is a mean place. Crime is outrageous. You cannot turn on your TV set every day without hearing about a murder, a rape, or an abuse of some sort. We came down here because it was quiet. I could actually sit on my back porch and not hear an ambulance or a police cruiser or a fire truck. It was peaceful. It is peaceful. I have eagles that fly over the lake. I have otters that come on my dock. I have fish that are beautiful bowfish, sunfish, bass. If you build this parkway, number one, they always lie about how long it takes. As we can see, they're not finished in Homosassa. How long were we told that that was going to take? It's going to take years. It's going to be tons of pollution. You know already, like on the other side of 200, if you were to go off the road there, you're going to go into the water. It's deep. Gators, snakes. Everything got a purpose in this life. The birds have a purpose. The snakes have a purpose. Everything has a purpose. We don't need to destroy them. We don't need to destroy the trailhead to make room when we can simply improve what we already have. People coming from Alabama and up north can hit I-10 and go 75 and get to Wildwood. We don't have to give them another route. We can already drive straight up 19 up and go west on 40 or up 27, up 301 if indeed we need to evacuate for a hurricane. Make those roads sustainable. Make them a little bit wider. Have diversions where you could change it from a northbound to a southbound with a flip of a switch. That increases your roadways. There's things you can do. Please, please, please reconsider this. I beg you.
Thank you. We have the next speaker, please.
I'm Dr. Berteno. I'm a retired professor emeritus of mechanical engineering from the University of Central Florida. After I retired, which was 20 years ago, I wanted to get out of Orlando because of the monstrous growth was occurring and surrounding us where we had a 5-acre plot of land. My wife and I moved to Rainbow Springs, and we have loved it there. I got involved with the Rainbow River Conservation Organization, a nonprofit, and soon became the president and leader of that group, which amounts to about 270 members at the present time. We stand for conservation of natural systems, and we've done a pretty good job, frankly, of managing to preserve and protect the Rainbow River and its surroundings and its wildlife and the wildlife corridors nearby. I came over here to Citrus County, even though I live in Marion County, and I'm concerned about the attitude of the commission in Marion County pertaining to this issue. But I came here because you're our neighbors. I'm a neighbor to you. And I believe that your interests should be similar to ours. Your assets, your quality of life here is similar to ours. And so I decided I would come over and I'd speak on behalf of these people as an extension of speaking on my own. And I think that you'd make a mistake, a big, giant mistake, to encourage this turnpike extension matter. All it is a make-work project for the FDOT and their subcontractors. There is no justification for it. The turnpike extension takes off and goes to the west. I-75 continues to the north. If you look at the numbers, those people traveling up I-75 continue up I-75. Very few of them peel off and head down I-10 toward Tallahassee. So what do you need a shortcut for across from Wildwood to Tallahassee or any part of I-19 or US 19? I am very concerned about the natural resources as we build and build and build and encourage more growth and more destruction of the natural resources we have in this area. We find that we're running out. Florida is not an independent state. It is not energy independent by any means, and it's not really water independent because the aquifer is being abused, misused, overused, and the water is being polluted.
Thank you.
Think about those things,
Thank you.
please.
Appreciate you being here. Can we have the next speaker, please?
Good evening. My name is Daren Rice. I'm a property owner at 13437 East Shawnee Trail in Inverness. Thank you, Honorable Commissioners. Hello, Chairman Kitchen. You and I were in an MPO training a few years ago. Thank you, Commissioner Schleback, for having this evening meeting. And what can I say? Old MPO officials, we don't die. We just keep attending public hearings. I am so lucky to have the opportunity to be a steward of a modest cabin and piece of property on the Withlacoochee River. This is truly God's country. I come from a long line of Floridians, and the Nature Coast really, truly is one of the last beautiful parts of this beautiful state. But it's not just the natural beauty that makes it important, but it's the economic and the cultural relevance of this area. The Cove of the Withlacoochee has history that goes way back, Native American history, ancient history, the Second Seminole Indian Wars. This is where the Spaniards crossed the river in the 1600s on the way to modern-day Ocala. There's just a lot of cultural history here that, in a state where we see more and more concrete and more people, I really ask that you please just do everything we can to protect the Nature Coast when it's on our watch. Also, I think it's important to just please, this is a top-down project from FDOT. Please don't bring the state's agenda to the people. Bring the agenda of your constituents to the state, because you've heard loud and clear that we are asking you to consider the no-build option and really push back against this top-down planning process that FDOT has imposed on this area. Thank you very much for your time. And thank you for your service to the public as public officials. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice seeing you again. Thanks for coming to visit. Can we have the next speaker, please?
Good evening. Maxine Conner of Homosassa, speaking on behalf of League of Women Voters of Florida. I would like to thank each one of you for all that you do and for always patiently listening to our concerns. Today, I'd just like to make a brief comment on the Northern Turnpike extension.
We've given you 5 minutes, Ms. Conner, so you have up to that. So.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm going to be brief, though.
Okay.
You'll be pleased.
You don't have to use it.
Contrary to what I normally do, and I'll talk slower. So, the League of Women Voters of Florida is a member of the coalition of over 70 organizations that signed on to the letter to the governor asking him to veto the toll roads bill. It would happen to be SB 7068 back in 2019 that created MCORS. So the State League also signed on to the coalition letter to the Florida Department of Transportation asking for a no build option until 2020. So here we are again, and we are looking at the Northern Turnpike extension. So I just wanted to say very briefly that we stand by these letters, and we just ask you to please choose the no build option on the Northern Turnpike extension. And I want to thank you for the privilege of public comment, and I want to thank Commissioner Sleva for arranging for this meeting to allow for people to express themselves on this issue. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here. Next speaker, please.
Good evening. Boy, you've had a long day. My name is Devon Carillo. I'm a native born and raised Floridian. And today I speak to you on behalf of the Sierra Club Adventure Coast Group as their conservation chair. Our territory is Citrus, Hernando, and Upper Pasco. I also speak as president of Nature Coast Conservation, Inc., a nonprofit organization. There are many good reasons why we are all opposed to these new turnpike extensions. There's no documented need for the roads. Our Florida rural community values its cultural, historical, agricultural, and archaeological resources. The Northern Turnpike extension perpetuates sprawl and bad or non-existent planning. None of this supports our small communities. And of course, funding for the new road will drain money from the rural community. So I encourage you, as everyone does, to just say no build as the only option for Citrus County. I also want to bring up an issue that I think is near and dear to all of us. Nothing has really changed from when the legislature entered the toll roads plan known as MCOR. Protecting the Swanee River Basin watershed, complete with its environmental importance and its rural way of life, remains the reason for the no-build mantra that echoes throughout this room and throughout this community. Protecting one of the world's most unique spring systems in itself warrants a reason not to build. The legislature passed Statute 377-601 in 2018, finally acknowledging that climate change as a driving force behind the major hurricanes that are now being experienced is a driving force. Clearly, building toll roads will not mitigate the adverse conditions driving climate change. The carbon footprint for these proposed highways would be immense, thus contributing to the very conditions that create climate change. It is imperative that greenhouse gases be brought down in order to reverse the warming of our planet. And of course, reducing emissions is the primary way to do this. Sequestration or carbon capture is a tool that could provide time to reduce these carbon emissions. Regenerative use of farmlands, ranches, and forests makes it possible to do sequestration. Protecting these lands from development should be priority number one. Please accept the no-build vote as your only option. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you and for your time today.
Thank you so much for being here. Can we have the next speaker, please?
Good evening. My name is Eugene Kelly. I'm here from Brooksville, Florida, speaking on behalf of the Florida Native Plant Society. I am the chair of the Policy and Legislation Committee for the Native Plant Society's Board of Directors. The Society's concerns really revolve around environmental impacts, impacts to water resources, and I don't really want to spend any time speaking about that, not because I don't think it's important. It's, I'm a conservation biologist by trade, so that's really my main focus in life, is conservation and environmental protection. I attended almost every single MCORS task force meeting. A couple of you might recognize me from those meetings. I had shorter hair back then. But I think back to some of the most compelling things that I heard come from the public. And I remember a number of young people that came to the podium, and they spent their 3 minutes to say, basically, we don't want this road, we don't need this road, we won't use this road. Heck, we don't even want to have to own an automobile. So ultimately, you know, I look at us and we're considering how could we build this road and minimize environmental impacts. Well, I think this road ultimately is an antiquated transportation infrastructure solution. It's old school. And, you know, I look at us, I look all around the room, and with few exceptions, I think it's safe to say we're all pretty old school in here. There's nothing wrong with that. I like to think that one of the things that comes from being old school, age, is a slightly different perspective on the future. And you are the elected leadership in this community. You're here to lead them into the future. And I don't have a crystal ball that tells me exactly what the future holds. I kind of have some insights, I think. One of the things we've learned from this pandemic, more and more people working from home. There's going to be fewer and fewer of us getting on the road to drive to an office. There's going to be fewer of us getting in internal combustion automobiles for a number of reasons. If those of us that are in vehicles, I see more and more electric and autonomous vehicles. Ultimately, again, this is just an old school solution to our infrastructure needs. And I hope that, you know, maybe you can just look towards the future with open eyes and a more open mind and think about the infrastructure needs for your grandchildren.
Thank you.
And their children.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Could we have the next speaker, please?
Yes, my name is Kathleen M Hoffman. I'm usually like to face my audience because I'm an interpreter for the deaf communities. I'm also a member of the Fort Belknap Indian Reservation. My mother gave birth to me here in Florida. That's not my fault. I am indigenous to Native American Indian, and I'm here in support of other Native American Indian peoples that's in this room, and also the hearing impaired peoples that might be in this room. Yeah, I don't think that this road is going to be a good idea because, number one, you're going to be digging up a lot of burial mounds that are still in existence to today, especially down 44. I live only 2 miles from the yellow route that you plan on taking, and I definitely do not want the turnpike being in my backyard and hearing all the noise and the activity that goes on there. Not only on top of that, but I see endangered birds, turtles. They're going to be moved. They're going to be destroyed. They're going to be impacted. You got the sandhill crane. I see sandhill cranes dead alongside the road because of traffic. I see turtles that are supposed to be protected. I'm also part of the Audubon Society also. And if you move a turtle, that's a federal crime. So therefore, you're allowing federal crimes to occur. I mean, this is ridiculous. I don't think we need this turnpike at all. It's going to destroy a lot of our wildlife, our indigenous wildlife at that. They were here long before the Native American Indian was ever here. So I'm also talking in their behalf also. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Could we have the next speaker, please? Excuse me, can you fill out a form for the clerk, please? Green card. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Mr. Oliver. Leslie Barris, Inverness resident. I'm going to come at this from a little bit different angle. And I will say that all the environmental concerns that I've heard are very well founded, and I hope they're taken to heart. My summary comment is that as a practitioner of surface transportation law for almost a quarter of a century, and an environmental and historic preservation attorney for 37 years for industry, military, and citizens, what I've seen is that local elected officials don't always, in my view, spend their political capital very effectively on major surface transportation projects. and I'll explain that. And I've represented people, for and against bridges and roads, from $1 billion bridge and interstate highway to $3 million local connectors. I've lobbied U.S. senators and congressional reps in Washington, D.C., so I've been around these issues. I haven't seen the traffic numbers yet for the proposed road. I will. I'll dig into them. Mr. Oliver knows I dig into the things that I take on. My gut feel, though, tells me that the future modeled projections, which is really what matters in this situation, it's the planning horizon 20 to 25 years out, the numbers are probably going to be paltry. They're probably going to be based on some assumptions that are kind of questionable and easily picked apart. And what happens in those cases is that you ended up, if the road gets built, you end up with lots of houses and lots of fast food restaurants and chains. And in my view, that's not economic development. If that's really what your goal is, and that's a really legitimate goal for you. As you know, houses, very high cost of service, don't bring in enough revenue typically through property taxes to offset that. And then you get fast food restaurants, minimum wage. I'm not saying that's not a good job for somebody, but it's not the higher quality jobs. What I would prefer to see you spend your political capital on, and you are going to spend your political capital on this road. You've got a very well-organized constituency against it. We'll see what their stick-with-itness is. Stick with it. Very articulate, very up on the issues. And you're going to spend political capital on this with the state legislature, with the MPO, with FDOT, maybe with FHWA, depending on some issues of design. I'd rather see you spend your political capital getting industrial development here. Spend your political capital getting surface transportation money dedicated to a site for a specific client, company, financial incentives, local, state, federal, building a community consensus, and I will donate whatever time I can to support you in that. Because to me, that's really economic development. It also actually focuses environmental issues, unlike roads. So
Thank you
good luck
very
in
much.
your deliberation.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Also, by the way, while we're waiting for the next speaker to come up, in case you aren't used to the way we operate, is once we take all public input, then it'll be up to the commissioners to respond to everybody or some or whatever they wish. So a lot of you that are asking questions, if you stick around, you may hear the answer to them. Can we have the next speaker, please?
Good evening. Thank you for staying for such a long day.
It's our job. We're
Really?
happy you're here. Come on over to the microphone, too, so we can hear you,
Okay.
please.
My name is Ann Brooks, and I've already filled out one of those forms at like 5 o'clock, and I had to stand in this line this whole time because there was no sound in the other room.
really?
So I came back in here, and I was like number 4, and I was assured that my name would be called.
Yes, ma'am, and I
It was not.
apologize. My understanding is we had sound and television in the other room, so I apologize if that didn't happen.
Well, they
So-
eventually turned it up, but
Okay,
I was
great.
already out of there by then. So, I'm really not here to talk about that, just y'all take note to correct it for some other time. I am encouraging no build. I live in the mini farms, and my mailing address is Dunellen, but it's Citrus County. So my community is going to be hugely impacted by all of this. The one thing I know that everybody has spoken about tonight, they've all got good points. I want to talk about the humans, okay? We have varying population, very economic people, varying houses, just everything out there is just a variable. My huge concern is if you allow this to go on, when eminent domain comes through, how are your elderly people going to buy a home and relocate in this in this county, in this community, in the state of Florida? I mean, has anybody done an economic impact survey on what it's going to do to the humans and their businesses? Everybody, well, not everybody, many people in a mini farm, that's their livelihood and is their home. So they're going to be put out of their livelihood and they're going to lose their homes. It's not a good plan. Something else needs to come up. And by the way, just for this meeting,
I took the opportunity to drive from here all the way to Marion County over the weekend. So I used the interstate and I used the back roads. And I can tell you what I saw and what I feel. I feel that the northern counties that are past us are not going to go from this. They are rural counties. They don't want fences around their kids' high schools and their kids' elementary schools. It's very, very rural. And I think what's going to happen is you're going to build a road to nowhere. And it's going to dead end. And in the end, our community has 900 property owners just in the POA. So the community as a whole is more than that. You're going to impact over 1,000 homes just in that community. Something to think about.
Thank you very
Vote
much.
no.
Thank you very much. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Next speaker, please.
Hi, I'm
Hello.
Kate. I'm a new Citrus County resident in Crystal River, so I suppose I'll be speaking as the new school.
You need to address your comments this
I'll be speaking as the new school, as mentioned earlier. I moved here for one reason, the natural beauty. The coast in Citrus County is one of the best and most preserved coastlines left in the state of Florida. It's a refuge to terrestrial and marine organisms who rely on these pristine and productive ecosystems, which are critical to protect, lest we end up like the East Coast. While FDOT will commission an environmental study, that study will not take into account road runoff from future cars going on this road, nor the construction increase. This runoff will go directly into our springs, our drinking water, as well as the Gulf, damaging the water quality here and threatening our wildlife. The environment we have here in Citrus County should be enough to motivate us to stop this build. But as many people put profit over planet, I would like to highlight a few economic points. Our watersheds support huge and booming ecotourism economies as well as fisheries economy. Ruining the environment will destroy both of these economies. There's promise that this road will bring new jobs, but the reality is that it will eliminate stable and good jobs that revolve around our beautiful environment that people come to visit from all over the world. Daily, people travel here to see the manatees. I get constantly stopped. Where can I see the manatees? Three Sister Springs. We've seen what the development has done to the manatees in the Indian River Lagoon. Our economy here cannot risk that happening. We must say no build in order to protect our environment, but also ourselves. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Welcome to the community. Next speaker, please.
Yeah, hi, Art Jones. I'm the founder and president of One Rake at a Time. Been involved in cleaning up the springs there in Crystal River for quite a while. I think that after it's all said and done, and the state decides to extend the Florida Turnpike and rejects the no-build option, then I believe the best route is the southernmost route. I think the Turnpike would make sense to go directly to Crystal River. It would be the shortest route. If it piggybacks along the 44 corridor, that's already opened up. There's a lot of room there. You can piggyback it on top. You can elevate it sections. You can bypass some tricky sections and things like that. Tourist is already a tourist town. You can ride the bike trails in Inverness, visit the historic downtown, go fishing the beautiful lakes in Crystal River. You can swim with the manatees, visit the National Wildlife Refuge, swim in the crystal clear springs waters of Kings Bay, and learn about how we worked really hard to restore those springs. Or you can head out into the Gulf of Mexico. Crystal River is already world famous and welcomes visitors from all over Florida and beyond to see the manatees. What better place for the Turnpike to drop you off? The Turnpike can be directly connected to the Suncoast Parkway, and then it can take you either north to Tallahassee, or then you can take the South Parkway and head back down into Tampa, the airport there, or the Bucks Sports Stadium. It could alleviate some of the traffic from Orlando to Tampa on Interstate 4, and it can act as an alternative route in case of hurricanes and evacuation routes. The turnpike connecting to the parkway could alleviate some of the traffic congestion we now experience on Interstate 75 going through Ocala. Anybody that's ever been stuck on the turnpike for hours as it comes into 75 knows we need to finish the turnpike. It is long overdue. It's a needed road. We need to connect it to the other roads. And what a nice loop. It's just, it makes sense. And it doesn't have to be environmentally destructive. Instead of just saying, no, 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 let's say, how can we build it the right way? What are the best practices that we can use to build this road and bring it in and do it the right way? This will be the newest section of the Florida Turnpike. They've learned a lot over the years, and I think if we work closely with them, that the road can be built very environmentally friendly. It's not going to hurt the aquifer. You come up over the sandhills of Lecanto. It's not going to hurt the aquifer in any way. It can be built the right way. It's funny. One of the best reasons to keep it to the south is citrus. We have the Brooksville Range. We've got the sandhills of Lecanto, so it will avoid the more sensitive areas, the Rainbow Springs watershed and up through there. Nobody's farm has to be bulldozed. I mean, it's this hysteria that's going on.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you being here. Appreciate your thoughts.
It can be done right.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys have been very, very good up till now. Let's keep it going. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you for being here. My name is George L. Reinhardt, 16 Oak Knoll Street, Beverly Hills, Florida. And I appreciate you all being here this late in the evening. I have in my possession articles of incorporation, not for profit. One rake at a time. The initial officers and director is Arthur Warren Jones, president and director. Anthony Tamposi, vice president, treasurer and director. Dale Marie, Esquire, secretary and director. And I want to thank you all. No build at a time, and I got you. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have the next speaker, please?
Hello?
Hello.
Jasmine Lovinguth, 14051 Southeast 8th Street, Williston, Florida. You may disagree that it is proper for Levy, Marion, and Sumter County citizens to come before you. We are here because what you choose to do includes outside the designated boundary lines you rule within. The aquifer flows together and is one. You cannot divide it up with magic marker lines. All of Florida would be severely affected by a new road. You would be killing the nature coast forever. An enormous sacrifice based on developers' greed, not need. It is known future wars will be for water, which we all depend on for survival. All life depends on for survival. And your blinded exuberance and busyness of creating committees to plan for a road, have you stopped for one moment to consider Florida's last surviving green space, the aquifer, last freshwater springs, endangered species, productive farmland, and the world's longest underwater cave system, homes, lives, the entire nature coast? This unnecessary road would decimate. Will the legacy you leave behind for your heirs in the state of Florida be that you helped pave over the nature's coast and destroy it? Would your family feel pride or shame about what you did? Would they be embarrassed that you were careless and cold-hearted to allow, promote, and assist in the killing? Would they be thankful to you for the sewage recycling plants necessary for potable water because you allowed the aquifer and last freshwater springs to be damaged and poisoned by a road you and the developers are drooling to build? Damage you would cause extends far beyond the magic marker line boundaries on the map you call your district. Damage extending into future generations after we're dust. History would show there was a special rich, lush nature coast full of robust plant and animal life, but developers and representatives going against the people killed it. You are not taking into consideration the forever damage and pollution, the extinction of wildlife you don't mind causing to be extinct. I spend money in Citrus and stand beside my family and friends here that would be wiped away for this ludicrous path of destruction. I am here defending them too. It is not progress to destroy the last surviving green space so Citrus can blend in with the rest of Florida, already paved and poisoned, where even buzzards are disappearing to clean up roadkill. Clues? This paving would spread that here. Your road proposal is a true deadly virus. We are being threatened with. You are representing developers, not the people who put you in office. That's why 4 counties are here in front of you to get your attention that there's a real problem with your intentions and plans. We have the right to speak to defend our land and lives that would be wiped away without a second thought by you. This time is an exception because the people are not going to be good little sheep you're used to and expect. People are not going to meekly lay down and swallow lies in concrete. It is not progress to destroy the nature coast to satisfy developers'
Your
greed,
time
not
has
need, and perhaps
expired,
favorite
ma'am.
oath.
Thank you very much. We
Thank you,
appreciate your
sir.
comments.
The
Thank
rest
you.
will be online.
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate it. Okay, next speaker, please.
My name is Michael McGrath, 3630 Piazza Drive, Fort Myers, Florida. I'll be representing Sierra Club, Florida in my comments tonight. Some of you might recognize me from the MCOR's task force process, as I attended and participated in most of those meetings during the task force process. And I think I need to remind folks in the audience, as well as the county commissioners here tonight, that the Northern Turnpike extension we have before us today is nothing more than a vestige of the Northern Turnpike connector that was considered during the MCOR's task force process. And what needs to be reminded to folks is that the final task force report concluded that the task force did not reach a conclusion based on the information available at this time that there is a specific need for completely new greenfield corridor or modification of existing facilities to the study area to achieve a statutory purpose. That's a direct quote you can find in each of the task force reports. Furthermore, during the MCOR's task force process, we found that through a series of public records requests, that over 93% of the public comments were opposed to MCORs. Public opposition continues to be widespread to the Northern Turnpike extension to this very day. And it's no surprise, because if these roads are built, they'll act as a catalyst for sprawl. They'll destroy everything that folks hold near and dear to their hearts here in the Nature Coast, here in Citrus County, and they will create a model of development that will be unsustainable. Your local roadways won't be able to handle the induced demand for traffic demands within our region. You'll see that the reason people chose to move to Citrus County to raise families here, to retire, to visit, and also to have vacations here will be something that will be seen more like in Orlando or Tampa, where it will be congested with sprawl, air pollution, and also dirty water. It's really needs to be stated over and over again that in Florida, the environment is the economy. And, the Northern Turnpike extension and the sprawl that it will induce will cut through some of the most sensitive wetlands and also watersheds here in the state of some of our most treasured springs here. Think about, Kings Bay, Homosassa River, Rainbow River, the Withlacoochee River. All these places are, places that will have additional nutrient loading with increased population development. You also see increased demands on already dwindling freshwater supplies as well. And really, this will create something that will undo many of the investments in restoration that you as a county have already invested in places such as Kings Bay. With seagrass plantings and also things we're trying to actually clean up that bay and do restoration for that. So why do something that's actually counterproductive to the things that you already invested taxpayer dollars into already? I think, it goes without saying that if we have less spring flows, if we have more nutrient loading into places like Kings Bay, we are going to see increased seagrass die-offs. And we all know that the reason people come here is for the manatees, for scalloping, for sports game fishing, for charter boat fishing, and really ecotourism is the lifeblood of our economy. So please do no builds.
Do you have a letter on file with us?
We should probably in the past, but if not, we'll provide one in the future.
Great.
So
okay,
thanks so much for your time, all right?
Thank you very much for being here.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Elonza Hendred. I'm here more for a personal thing. I know that you guys are here listening to all of us.
For anything you want to talk about.
Listen to all of us. I'm on the board of the Hernando Community Thanksgiving with the late Luke Simmons. The community that we live in, Hernando, it donates from the families on fixed incomes. They donate their time, their money, their food, and we feed the community through churches and volunteers. The small community does big things when they come together. They're family oriented. It's a beautiful area. And our children are allowed to play on a basketball court named after my late husband and my kids' father. I looked up some stuff, and traffic accidents with tragedies are becoming the norm in Citrus County. The transportation infrastructure, it is an integral part of the production and consumption. However, it is also the segue for more traffic accidents and criminal activity, which, trust me, being over correctional facility, we are not in need of more criminal activity that comes with the highways in our community, especially with the ever-growing drug problem that we already have. I know in the Bible says in 1 Timothy, for the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some of us are benefiting from the highway coming through, it's not the normal average everyday people that are benefiting from the highway coming through here. All I'm asking is don't let the fruits of my children's late father's labor, his parents' labor, their late parents' labor, which one of the parents are still living in the community that they're getting ready to trying to tear down with the highway. I know that today people have spoken their concerns, which is needed to be heard. Our nation is built on "In God We Trust." But however, right now, we are trusting that the county commissioners are going to say no to tearing our communities down.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. We have another speaker, please.
Hi. My name is Candace Rose Milligan. I live on Eden Drive right here in Inverness, so I'm a local resident. I took my electric scooter here. I can walk here, and it's great to do that. I like doing that, but it's very difficult. You got these roads here that's not comfortable to walk on. You have all of this set up that's really not made for it. Kind of have to go on the street a little bit, and it would be great if all of that traffic could get separated so that everyone's safe. But the problem is you can't build a new road and just alleviate all the traffic around here. The turnpike won't alleviate all the traffic that's out here around here that I have to deal with, that pedestrians are killed by, that bikers are threatened by. It has never worked. It's never reduced traffic. And you can look at this anywhere, whether in the United States or in the world, to build a road, and it goes down. It just doesn't work that way. You have to completely redo the infrastructure. We need to think about local transportation options. I would love to be talking about something like a streetcar or a trolley or something like that goes around Citrus County. I mean, people talked about ecotourism, that would be great, but not a big giant highway that goes through. I think that's a terrible idea, and no build, absolutely.
Thank you very much. Could we have the next speaker, please?
Commissioners, my name is Dan Slaron. I appreciate, I live in Inverness. I appreciate you staying late tonight to listen to everybody's comments. I'm here on a personal matter. I'm not here for the environment or something else. The yellow route goes right over my house. It destroys my house, destroys my neighbor's house, destroys the lakeside neighborhood. That lakeside neighborhood is starting to come back with the introduction of the new grill. I've served the country and the state of Florida for 30 years in the Army. I've spent the last 20 years serving the county, working as a deputy sheriff. I know you're going to do your part to support these people that are sitting here behind us, that you've heard their comments all night long. They don't want this turnpike coming through the county. It serves no purpose to our county. We have enough to do to improve the infrastructure within our own county that we don't need outside FDOT, anybody else putting this turnpike through our county. I know what comes with the parkway. I've seen those people come from Tampa and what they do to our citizens. I've seen them come from Orlando on the short turnpike that we do have and destroy the citizens of this county. We don't need to bring that turnpike and give them a faster way into this county. We need to support the small community, the small town feel that all of you boast, including Ms. Davis, who left already, the small town feel of Citrus County. Thank you for staying and listening to my comments.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your service. Next speaker, please. Can you hold on just a second, Mr. Wade? Can I just get a rough idea who has not spoken yet and who wishes to speak, just so I have a kind of a rough idea? Okay, great. Thank you very much. Yes, sir, Mr. Wade.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening. My name is John Wade. I want to approach this from a little bit different perspective. I know all of you board members are good custodians of the taxpayers' money. I've heard you say that many times. I just want to give you a couple of examples of money of these roads, what they cost. Just to extend the Suncoast Parkway from where it is presently to US 19, it is estimated to cost from Norval Bryant Highway to US 19, $416,958,120. And the construction on the last part of it isn't even to start until 2027. That doesn't include the mileage from where it ends presently to Norval Bryant. So you're talking $500 million. There is no way, based on traffic patterns, projections, that that road will pay for itself. Now, if that road won't pay for itself, I would imply and ask you very much, as members of the MPO and as the Citrus County Board of County Commissioners, to ask for and get projections of traffic, and will the roads pay for themselves as they're required to do? And if they don't, I can't see how you can not say, I don't support these roads. I believe we should not build these roads. The traffic level is not there. The traffic projections that I have seen, and I know you have seen, do not support even the Turnpike extension to US 19 now. And if that's true, how can a connector going across the northern part, which is going to cost vastly more money, how can it possibly support paying for itself as required by state law? I ask you, I beg you, vote no, support no build. And if it doesn't, if the projections on the MPO, when you sit on the MPO, oppose it if it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, i.e. pay for itself. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have another speaker?
Hi, my name is Gina Howe, and I live in Inverness. This road is not going to affect me where I live, but it is going to affect the playground and the wonderful, beautiful watershed out in Potts Preserve. And I'd just like to read you something from the Swift Mud webpage. Potts Preserve, the property was acquired by Swift Mud for the protection of the area's groundwater recharge, as well as important surface water features and wetland habitats. The preserve's wetlands play a role in both the solid Apopka chain of lakes and the Withlacoochee River systems, part of the water aquifer's recharge-discharge system. Additionally, the site provides habitat to wildlife, including a small population of threatened Florida scrub jays. There's a reason Swift Mud acquired that property, and it's pretty clear in what they put on their website. And the southernmost route would definitely affect it. The map doesn't really show the wetlands, the map that's online, doesn't show the wetlands like I've seen them. I see them almost every weekend. It would destroy that area. We need it for the watershed, we need it for our water table, we need it for the aquifer. Another part that bothers me is that the whole town of Hernando would be wiped out. I moved here 24 years ago. We bought a house in Hernando. that area would be gone, and I would really hate to see that. It also makes no sense to direct traffic to evacuate people from South Florida directly to Crystal River, where it floods. That doesn't make any sense at all. But those are my comments, and I wanted to share those with you today. And thank you all for having this hearing, public hearing tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you being here. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Yes, sir. Please come forward.
Good evening.
Good
It's
evening.
been a long day for you guys, I know. I'm Brad Rimby. I'm a retired engineer. I live in Chassahowitzka. During the course of my profession as a consulting engineer, I've investigated over 1,000 accidents throughout the state, throughout some of the southeast, mostly in the state though. There are not many roads that I haven't been on in Florida, and I've seen a lot of change. I remember when you could drive down the turnpike and see halos of light from each of the towns along the way on the East Coast. Now it's just a megalopolis. It's just one constant halo. So I really don't have anything to add that you haven't already heard. I would just ask that you keep the nature in the Nature Coast. I'm vice president of the Florida Springs Council. Collectively, we have over 300,000 members that are of springs concerns. I'm also vice president of Homosassa River Alliance, and they've asked me to speak on their behalf tonight, and I will be brief. I'm also vice president of the Withlacoochee Aquatic Restoration. Dan Hilyard was up here earlier. I guess I'm vice president of anything that nobody else wants to do. So I keep getting picked on for these various tasks, but I would ask that, and people seem to think that you have more authority over what's going to happen than I think you do. But, on my behalf as someone who's chosen to live here and have seen most of Florida, if not all of it, at one time or another, and a lot of misjudged growth. When I looked at the plans proposed, to me it was a no-brainer. It's like we shouldn't even be here discussing this in Citrus County. It's connect Wildwood to I-75, make the improvements that are necessary there. And again, I'm talking to you as an engineer who's investigated many accidents and know the roads well in Florida. I just don't understand why we're even talking about carving up our rural lands. It just makes no sense to me, other than somebody has an idea that it would be more growth, more taxes, whatever, but connect Wildwood to I-75 and keep on going, and maybe charge tolls for the people that want to come in here at a higher rate than ones that want to leave.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate your comments. Does anyone else like to speak? Yes, sir. Please come forward. That's all right. There is no list. If you haven't spoken yet, anybody that wants to speak, you just need to fill out a green card before or after you're done. So.
Okay. My name's Don Clark, and I live in Floral City. You need the actual address, 9099 South Great Oaks Drive. I've been here about 13 years. I'm originally from the Adirondacks in New York, and I came here because my wife was from Florida originally. We traveled. I was in the Air Force. I love Citrus County. It gives the Adirondacks a good run for the money in being natural. I also drove a lot in New York, and I drive a lot in Florida. And one thing I found out, Floridians don't like toll roads, not building them. They don't want to drive on them. They're cheap. I like to take the Suncoast to Tampa because nobody's on it. So there is absolutely no way this road is going to pay for itself. And I don't know if all of the things they said are going to happen, A lot of them are, and it's going to take years, and it's going to cause lots and lots of disruption, and it's going to cost lots and lots of money. And while I was sitting up there, it reminded me of something else that Citrus County supported a long time ago, and we now have a souvenir of it that does absolutely nothing. The Cross Florida Barge Canal, another gigantic boondoggle that this county supported and still has a big unusable lock over on the Withlacoochee because of it. And we're mentioned in a book. You could get an opportunity to be in a book about like something, the ghost highway, because it's going to cost a lot of money, it's going to cause a lot of disruption, and it's not going to pay for itself. Most people won't ride on it. I guess that's it. Everybody else has said everything else.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you being here and sharing your thoughts. Does anyone else wish to address the board? Yes, ma'am.
Jeanette Pear. I live in Inverness. I don't normally do this, and I wasn't going to do this. But everybody has talked about the nature, the water, the wildlife, which was why we moved here. I originally was from Marathon, which is in the Keys. You know, it's way overgrown. So we found a nice, beautiful place in Inverness. And if they do take the southern route, our house will be gone in Lakeside with about 70 other houses. And most of the people there are seniors, 60s, 70s, 80s. It's going to be terrible. And they will bulldoze our house. So that's, you know, everybody else talked about everything else, which I'm concerned about too. But I'm also concerned about me and my neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you being here. I know it's hard to speak in public, and we appreciate everybody's comments. Anybody else wish to address the board at this time before the board responds? Second time I ask, this will be the third and final time. Okay, so we're going to close this last section of open to the public, and before I give my colleagues an opportunity to comment, I just want to say a couple generic comments. First of all, I deeply appreciate the civility, the decorum, and the courteousness that you all conducted yourselves tonight. As we know, it's a very emotional topic, and I just want to be very clear about this, and that is, this is the beginning of the process. This is not the end of the process, okay? And if we start as a community standing up and screaming and yelling at each other and calling each other names, nobody learns or gets anywhere. Myself, I look for good, logical debate and discussions. I heard a lot of that tonight. I really appreciate the well-thought-out comments, the things that people talk about. And I can assure you this, I'm going to speak for my colleagues up here. We all live here. This is our home. We could all live someplace else. We probably all moved here for the same reason everybody in this audience did. We don't want to destroy it. And so we want to be good stewards of those things that God created and the public has entrusted us to watch over. So with that said, that's why we're doing these meetings, and there'll be more meetings. And we're trying to hear what everybody has to say, and we're going to have a workshop on this, and we've invited FDOT to be here. And I'll tell you this, some comments were made that, you know, I don't know how much impact local government officials will have or won't have, but I can assure you this, myself and my colleagues won't hesitate to voicing our opinion. Whether we're listened to or not, you know, we're going to listen, we're going to hear what people have to say. And so I would just have to say, as much as what you said tonight and as well as the way that you said it made an impact on me. I just want to tell you that it wasn't just like, you know, oh, no, 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 because what people were saying, just don't build it. You know, many of you got up here and gave compelling testimony, I would call it, for what your position is and why you have that. So I just want to thank you for that and ask that as we continue this discussion and gathering these things, the day will come when this board will make a decision, a vote, whether to support or not support, or one route or no routes, and all this debate will come into play, and all your comments. And I do very much appreciate you taking your evening to come and share your thoughts with us tonight. I know we all appreciate that much. So who would like to begin? Commissioner Carnahan.
First and foremost, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. We sat on the Encore groups in a long year and a half. And I'll tell you, I have taken a position, especially after tonight. They can use existing corridors, okay? Span 75. We don't need it coming across our waterways, okay? Sabrina, I've been out there on them lakes for years and airboats and all the islands you're talking. We don't need that, okay? We don't need it at all. And I agree with the comments about it's not going to pay for itself. It's not. 100%. Hey, we do have the Suncoast Parkway here. It's being finished. Yeah, we do need to get it to 19. But as far as the toll road comes, there's many other existing corridors, okay, that's already here that can be used to get people to where they need to get to, okay? The biggest thing, if you use 75, it definitely from, it can be outside of Gainesville, it just depends on what day it is and the traffic, but usually from a little north of Gainesville, we'll say Lake City, from Lake City down to the Turnpike in Wildwood. That is a problem. And when they first started talking about getting people or relieving 75, it was a corridor. It was going up to I-10 and 75. Well, that's just been totally not talked about anymore. But so with that being said, I agree with no toll road, no build, use existing corridors. I think there's plenty of corridors. You got 40, you got 27. I mean, we can go right on down the list. Expand 75 to where the traffic can flow for free. But Citrus, leave us alone. We don't need it. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, you got a clap.
Ladies and gentlemen.
That might have been your first clap.
Okay. All right.
Won't be my
So,
last either.
who would like to go next?
I would,
Okay, Commissioner
Mr.
Slabaugh.
Chairman.
Commissioner Slabaugh.
I appreciate y'all coming out. This was my agenda item a while back, and I was actually afraid not one person would show, and I'd have to hear somebody say, I told you they wouldn't show up. So thank you for not making me look bad. I am a native Floridian, and so welcome all of you that have come in. I didn't put up a wall and stop you from coming in. And then unfortunately, for my husband, I am not cheap. So Floridians are not cheap. So I'm going to go through the things because it was a long night, so they might not be in order, but I'm going to be a little methodical about it. Clear cutting? No, I'm not for that. I love my trees, I love my birds, I love my squirrels. So I would never be for clear cutting. No build. No build is really interesting because, again, as a Floridian, and I'm older than maybe hopefully I look, and I've seen all the, people come in and build, and everybody needs a home, and when you need a home, you need a road, and so no build always kind of maybe even is a trigger word for me because so many people are moving into Florida, and we have to figure out how to move them around, and so, we love Citrus County, but y'all keep moving to Citrus County, so we have to figure this out. And Art, he's probably already gone, but he had a very positive position, and it was about using existing roads, which Commissioner Carnahan said, has pointed out also. And I appreciate that positive viewpoint, and thank you for saying that. Protecting our environment and our quality of life is very important to every one of us up here. We might not always get along, we might not always like each other, but I can tell you every one of us, including Commissioner Davis, want to protect our environment, we want to protect your quality of life. Sustainability happens to be very important to me personally, and somebody brought that up, and I'm always thinking about sustainability. I have an electric vehicle. I've had one for 8 years, and I think about that and think about how our roads are going. I was the first, actually, in my neighborhood, and now I see so many electric vehicles, and it is happening, and we have to think about our roadways because there'll be more autonomous vehicles. There might be even more figuring out more people on these vehicles, less cars on the roads and things. So somebody brought that up. We might be overbuilding the roadways. But sustainability, when you brought that up, that might be our niche for Citrus County. If we can somehow figure that out, and I'm going to look into that, because that would be a great niche for us. It would set us apart from the rest of the state of Florida, and we would probably entice quite a few younger people that like that. So I'm going to look into that, and I appreciate you giving me that idea. Water protection, obviously, yes, we need water. We're one of the leaders in the state of Florida. Look at what has happened in Crystal River and what's happening in Homosassa. We're now, working on the lakes, so of course that's important. Okay, the yellow route. That I came out in December, we had this conversation. The yellow route is not an option in my mind. I can't speak for the others, but I would not support the yellow route. I do not see how this will elevate us. It will make our community better. And also the next thought about that is the BOCC here, us commissioners, are not personally plowing through your home. We are going to try to make sure that we find the best option if the state says this is what they're doing, so that we can make it better for your quality of life and to protect your home. But we personally are not plowing through your home. Again, I can't speak for my colleagues, but I know them, and I know that they want to do whatever they can to protect Citrus County. Not one of us commissioners up here will be benefiting from a highway. Not one of our pockets are going to be lined with any secret money or mythical money or any of that. That was the wild, wild west. There are laws in place. There's protections of that. And I can tell you, I know each one of these people up here, and not one person will be benefiting from a road. So please, just don't ever say that again. And I spoke in December about the responsibility to protect our most vulnerable. And that includes our citizens, and that includes our environment. And I have not changed my mind. I will fight to protect the most vulnerable. And historically, we all know that that's what happened to the vulnerable communities. And we are rural, and we're a good target because there's a lot of money to our east, and they're building thousands of homes. And if they want to build thousands of homes, then they can absorb that new infrastructure that's going to move those people around. So I haven't changed my mind about protecting the lakes, the waters, the yellow line. I even put a big X on my plan. And but I do plan on spending my political capital, fighting for your concerns. And I, again, can't speak for these gentlemen up here, but I know they feel the same way. I know it in my heart. So thank you for coming out. Again, thank you for coming out. And I hope to do these more and have other communities come and discuss what their concerns are.
Thank you, Commissioner Slabaugh. Commissioner Kennard.
So I guess I'm bringing this in for a landing, huh? Well, I will say again, as I've said numerous times over the past 5 years, Commissioner Kitchen, I absolutely hate following you and making our comments because you steal my thunder. What I was going to start off with, as we started winding down with public input, was truly a thank you to everybody. It's an emotionally charged subject. I understand that, and with a few cautions along the way, a very large crowd addressing the board was extraordinarily respectful. not only to the board, but public speakers up there, so we could hear what everybody had to say. So thank you all very, very much. Art Jones, I gained a tremendous amount of respect for you today. To walk into this and stand up there and advocate for the building of this connector, that took some fortitude for a guy who spent many days wading out in our rivers, pulling up Lingbia with a rake. Thank you for being here and advocating for that position. I will tell you that a turnpike connector that utilized existing corridors, whether it was an existing highway or easements, power line easements, things like that, had broad-based support in the MCORS process during the MCORS process, from the trucking industry, local communities, to the environmental groups. I think even Charles Lee was advocating for utilizing a portion of 44 and Highway 19 and existing, like I said, power line easements and such, so that we weren't just plowing new ground, a new trail through virgin woods. So again, I will echo what Commissioner Kitchen started off with as well. Folks, this is very early in the process. The board took a little bit of heat for not taking a stance immediately, not picking a route immediately, and my response has been the same every time. We've got to hear from the community. We've got to hear from the residents. We've got to hear from the businesses. We've got to talk with the city councils as they go through this process. We've got a workshop scheduled. It's very, very early in the process. We're gathering information on where the community's at as a whole on this thing. So thank you again for being here.
All right. Well, again, I just want to say and echo what everybody said up here. We appreciate you being here. Keep in mind, we meet most second and fourth, when we don't, Tuesdays, and at 1 o'clock. And we invite you to come and speak at any meeting. We start every meeting with open to the public and close it with open to the public. So you don't need to wait. If you're available to come during the day, please do. We want to hear what you have to say. And it will have bearing, because all of us have been in situations where people get up and just yell at you and call you names, and believe it or not, that doesn't register well. People tend to kind of click that off after a while. But tonight, I heard some very, very compelling testimony. I think you've made an impact tonight, as I said once before, not just in what you said and how you said it. I would encourage this, too, is that, as somebody said earlier, just remember, we're listening to everybody. When I ran for office, I listened to some of the groups or whatever, but I went around and knocked on hundreds, if not thousands, of doors. I talked to what I call Mr. and Mrs. Front Porch. Maybe some of you, I knocked on your doors. I gave people a card and I said, what you have to say matters. And not everybody agrees, but you start to hear the community as a theme. Okay, and so what we said a couple of weeks ago when we said, is no build really an option? That was the beginning of the starting point. It's like, is it or is it not? I don't think our issue was you just can't stick your head in the sand and expect things to go away and things are going to fix themselves. And so that's when we said, we're going to have workshops. We're going to talk about it. We're going to hear what everybody has to say. And we just can't say no. We have to have options. We have to say, what about this? What about that? What about, so this is all part of that process. So once again, thank you for spending your dinner time with us. And in my case, I'm usually in bed by this time. So I just, us older people on the board up here have to do that. So, but I thank you again for coming. Please keep it up. Keep those cards and letters coming. Please be nice. Board, I see no other business, so we're adjourned.
Thank you.